Hello everyone, my name is Maruku and welcome back to What If Deku Had a Singing Quirk. So let's get started. Now Izuku, he's at the Dagobah Municipal Beach with All Might, moving around trash, and at one point he turns to All Might and asks, All Might, um, exactly why is it that I'm moving trash? And All Might responds that, well, Izuku, even though he has a very strong quirk that is connected to his ability to sing and has the ability to also affect like things around him depending on the type of song it is, that if he wants All Might's quirk, or that he tells Izuku that if he wants his quirk, that he's going to need to bulk up, like get some, toned muscle, look ripped, and that this, semi-scrawny kind of look he's got going on isn't gonna work. Like, he's trying to kind of, like, not be very, hypocritical towards Izuku and, make him feel bad about himself, but he's being generous at best with how he's kind of trying to describe this to Izuku, in a fair, calm way that, like, doesn't make Izuku feel like trash, but he tells Izuku, like, straight out, he's like, okay, my boy, if I was to give you my quirk right now, with how underdeveloped your body is in terms of muscle mass, your body might end up exploding. Like, your arms and legs, they'd probably explode off of you because of your body not being able to handle the raw strength of the quirk. Now, this is nothing against you. I honestly believe that, like, you can still have the quirk. You just need to, work yourself up to it. Izuku, like, he hears what All Might is saying and he takes it to heart. And, like, he asks All Might, would it be cheating if he uses his own quirk to maybe, like, modify himself, right? Like, to help himself build muscle a little bit, or even just to sing to himself like a song that might motivate him to like move the heavier stuff. And All Might has no problem with this. He's like, hey, if you want to sing or use your quirk to help yourself be motivated or keep your strength up, then that's all you. I won't stop you from doing that. Heck, it might even help. But just be aware that we're doing this to help you build physical muscle, just in case by some purpose, right, you're not able to use your quirk, right? And Izuku, he understands this, and he understands where All Might is coming from, and but as time goes on and as Izuku is gaining proficiency with his quirk, right, he's beginning to kind of see a difference in his muscle mass, right? He's got the American Dream Plan thing that All Might had made for him, the workout regimen, the prepared meals, which his mother is obviously obliged to make for him. But other than that, he is actually finding progress, and he's also learning things about his quirk, right? Now, the only reason he was able to use the Song of Rage at that moment, right, is because of the fact that his body was under so much stress, and he had so much adrenaline running through his body that he was able to kind of go past his normal physical limiters and sing a song that had so much force, so much power to it, that gave him the ability to affect things to such a high degree. Now, mind you, whenever he gets the power from One for All, right, I'm not gonna make him a complete physical brawler, right, like All Might. I'm going to say that yes, he can hit and he can punch kind of like he does in the anime, right? But the one main difference here is that the quirk itself, like One for All, what it's going to be doing for the most part in the story is just basically giving Izuku's singing quirk a power boost. Like imagine, like in this case, like Izuku's quirk is the equivalent of a tiny speaker. When once it's like pumped up by One for All, like One for All is basically acting like a generator and is turning this tiny little speaker into a giant, like into a giant speaker with a lot more, bass, like like and force, right? That's what it's basically going to do, and it's also going to unlock Izuku's ability to kind of create like elemental manifestations with his songs, right? But I'll get into that a little bit later, like when the time comes, right? But Izuku, he is he's wearing himself out. He is tired, beaten down. He's exhausted. He's pushing himself to his limits, right? But with the help of his songs to motivate him and to pick himself back up using the songs, right? Like like he's singing motivational songs for himself. It's giving him a quote unquote power boost, and it's keeping him from falling down from exhaustion like how he did in the anime. And about 10 months passed by, and I'm gonna say he was a little bit faster, but he went above and beyond, and he managed to get every last piece of trash up maybe a week early, right? And All Might was impressed. He wasn't expecting Izuku to actually get it done ahead of time, or even better than that, get the whole thing cleaned up. He wanted Izuku to only do a certain section and be done with it, but no, he did the whole beach, and he completed it a week before the entrance exams, right? And mind you, Izuku, he's still studying like he did in the anime, and I'm gonna say that his intelligence is about the same as the canon deku, right? He's not any smarter, he's not any dumber, but he's just more musically inclined and is going to have a lot more effect to his songs, right? But basically he gets the All Might catches him after he falls off the pile, and he's like, "My boy, this is incredible. You are truly worthy of my quirk, and you are a perfect example of what it means to go beyond plus ultra. You are the literal embodiment of what UA High stands for, going past your limits. And after hitting your limits, going even further beyond that." He's praising Deku, and Deku is just he's pumped, he's happy, he's excitable. He can't believe that his idol is praising him so much, and it's just so crazy to him how how this is basically happening, and how liberated and free he feels. And even more than that, he just can't wait to see where this leads him, right? And I'm gonna say that he takes the All Might encourages him to take the week off to let the quirk settle into him, and to to give himself time to practice with his original quirk, since obviously he's going to have drastic changes to his original quirk because of One for All's stockpiler ability, and the fact that it supercharges any quirk that it comes in contact with. And Izuku, he thinks he has a hold of it, like he thinks he's, completely, like, on the level, and about, say, like the like he's got a couple hours before he has to be at UA. And he he calls up Bakugo and says, "Hey, bro, are you ready to basically go to like our dream school and like live it up?" And Bakugo's like, "Hell yeah, of course I'm ready, you dork. No, I can't wait to see like what kind of tests they got for us." And Izuku, like, and him, they walk to UA, right? And like Bakugo kind of like, he asks Izuku, "Hey, I know that like you've been like training and all, right? Like by yourself, like like you told me, but like, are you sure that you're ready? I mean, like no offense to your quirk or anything, but they could literally hit us with anything. And I mean anything." And Izuku's like, "Of course I'm ready. I've We've literally spent our whole lives preparing for this moment, preparing for the moment where we basically like come to our dream school and kick it like rock stars." And as they're walking up to the campus itself, like up to the doors, Izuku pats Bakugo on the back and says, "Don't worry, Bakugo. We got this in the bag. Just relax. No, there's nothing to worry about." And they get into the auditorium, and like as they're, doing as they're in there, they're taking the written test, and everything's going fine. Everything is like hunky dory. They're like, it's going pretty swell, and like from there, like they go to the testing site, right? Like they're sent to testing sites to see exactly like what it is that they need to kind of like get to, I guess you could say, the like to pass this test, right? And like, they're sitting there, and President Mike is explaining to them exactly how, like, each of the robots work, like, 1 pointer, 2 pointer, 3 pointer. And then, like Izuku, he's kind of just vibing a bit, right? He's like chilled out, relaxing, just enjoying himself, and maybe like just humming a little bit to himself as he's listening to like President Mike, who, mind you, I'm gonna say is one of Izuku's favorite heroes because of the fact that he listens to like President Mike's like radio station all the time. And whenever Izuku first saw him, he kind of like had a fanboy moment, but like he quickly calmed down, right? And Ida, he gets up and says, "Sir, there is you've only talked about 3 robots when this pamphlet says 4. Is this a mistake on UA's part? And if it is, that is very like shameful. And you, will you stop humming?" And Izuku, like, he looks up, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's a habit. I'm really sorry." And the boy, he's like, "If you're not gonna take this seriously, then just leave." And Bakugo, he stands up and tries to defend, but President Mike says, calm down, little listeners, calm down." Anyway, Tenya, Ida, yes, I will. There is a 4th robot, but it's best to avoid it because it's worth 0 points, right? And after explaining all this, like, they're all sent to, like, they're like individual like a training field. And Izuku, like he's just kind of enjoying himself, like singing to himself all over again, like forgetting that like what happened with Ida. And like as he's kind of like vibing out, he notices a girl who seems to be a little bit anxious. And after noticing that she looks kind of anxious, he he thinks to himself, "Hey, how about I go over there and you know help her feel better, right?" And he starts making his way over there before finally being stopped by Ida, and Ida's like, "That girl is obviously trying to prepare herself. Are you trying to sabotage her?" And Izuku's like, "No, no, I'm not trying to sabotage her. I'm just trying to she looks nervous. I wanted to encourage her and give her some words of affirmation and help her feel a little bit better." And Ida's like, likely story. I hardly believe it. And as this is going on, like like Izuku's like, "Come on, man. I told you I was sorry for humming in while President Mike was talking. I really didn't mean to, okay? I'm not going to disrupt her. I'm not going to distract her. I'm not trying to, be malicious. She literally looks nervous. I want to help her." And, Ida, he's not giving up. He really, really does not want to, he feels as if, I guess, he's in the right, and that Izuku is just nothing more than a disruptive hooligan, right? And as this is going down, President Mike, he comes over and says, and he opens the door, right? And Izuku, seeing that the door is opening, he starts moving, right? He starts taking off to get into the training field, or the testing site, right? And all the other students are like, "Hey, what's that guy doing? That's not allowed." And President Mike, he looks down at this student who said this and says, what do you mean? He's got the right idea. There's no countdowns in a real battle. Get out there. Go. He's ahead of you, you idiots." And, all of the students, they take a hint after realizing, oh, shoot. And they start running in, right? And Izuku, he's already, in the lead, right? And, he sees a kind of semi-big cluster of robots right in front of him, as they're kind of coming out of the from the alleyways, and some of them already in the streets, right? And as he's running towards them, he smiles real big, right? And he licks his lips, and he begins to start singing. "There is ice clogging up your gears, causing you to break down, causing you to break down." And out of nowhere, right? The robots, they start to gather these giant ice clumps that are forming in between the gaps in on them, right? And the ice is growing, and it's causing them to all break down and explode. And all the participants that are behind Izuku, right, watching him sing and cause all this to happen, they're in awe. They're like, "What the heck is this kid? And do we even stand a chance?" Because like I said, there was a big cluster of robots right there specifically. And Izuku, he after destroying all those robots off rip, he ducks into a side into an alleyway going to a side street. And he even he was amazed by the fact that worked, right? He was imagining that it would get a couple of robots, right, where that he'd be able to generate ice off of his fingers to punch the robots and then clog up their gears. But no, it literally created ice in front of him as he was running and singing, right? And he's still running, and he's looking around, and he sees another another group of robots, right? And this time like as he's getting close to them, he thinks of kind of changing up the elements, right? Seeing like what the limitations are with his like song abilities, right? And he starts singing. The air is electric, it's frying your brain. And out of nowhere, like all these robots that are now in front of him again, they're starting to like short circuit and like become electrocuted, right? And Izuku, he's laughing to himself. He's like, "Oh, this is epic," and he keeps going, and like as he sees more robots, right? He's seeing some of the other students kind of like actually doing stuff, right? Like now that they're all like splitting up and spreading out, right? Izuku's going to have less pickings to pick from, right? And like he's having like fun with this, right? And like he's using some of his like singing abilities to like jump jump higher. Like he's using some of the abilities to like to like give himself more endurance and to speed himself up, right? But like as he like the more he uses his quirk, right? Like this is like technically the quirk like one for all would have already kicked in, right? But this is like the baseline level of his powers, right? Like, and he's not even using like his full power. Like he's like because of the fact that he's running and singing at the same time, right? Like he's not completely focusing on the lyrics that he's singing, right? So his songs aren't at full power. They're barely like going, right? But like with these few lyrics, it's causing great chaos around him, and it's like doing all this crazy stuff, right? And like technically he's lucky that he's not facing any students, right? Because the unfortunate bit is that he doesn't know how to contain his power yet. So like with some of these like abilities that he's creating on himself or whatever, it's like it could easily hurt someone else by accident, and he like and it would be his fault because he doesn't know how to control this fully, right? But like he sees a couple of a couple of students, right? And they're being swarmed by a bunch of like one pointers, right? And he kind of tries to and he's like standing on top of this building, right? And he's watching this, and like he thinks, what would be a good song for this moment, right? And all of a sudden, like he thinks to himself, ooh, this should work, right? And he goes, the earth is coming up to drag you down. And this time, this is what I mean by like he can't control it, right? On top of all the one pointers, like having all these tree like roots coming up and like mangling them, right? Like some of the tree roots are also like wrapping themselves around like some of the students' legs, and like one of them is actually like caught up, it gets bound up by the tree roots, and he's like, oh shoot. And like he focuses on trying to like control the root like with his song. And like after like technically, since the robots are already kind of destroyed, like he goes, and Mother Nature heals the welted wound. And like these the roots that was severely wrapped around this one kid, like it starts to heal him, and then it lets go, right? It's like, oh, I thank you, Lord, for having like mitigated that problem, right? And then he starts to run off. He's like, I really need to be careful about how I use these powers. I don't need to accidentally get myself in trouble. And he's running down like from rooftop to rooftop, right? And like he he's watching, the sidewalks, and like he sees like three, actually no, like four 3-pointers, and they're coming down like this road, right? And Izuku's like, okay, this should be a little bit more safe. Okay, Izuku, contain the power to physically be on yourself, right? And like he sees a couple of students, right, and they're trying to run away because these 3-pointers are like shooting like projectiles at them, right? And as Izuku is like uh like coming down the building, right? Like he starts to sing once more, and and like and also contain it to being inside of himself. And he goes, "There is fire in my lungs, threatening to melt you down." And he breathes in, and when he like blows out, a giant like flame like starts to like erupt from his throat, and it literally like it burns all of the machinery at like of these 3-pointers, right? And it starts to melt them down, like causing them to like to like become useless. And like and like at like he's also using the flames to like propel himself a little bit to like cushion his fall, right? And he's like, "Oh, this is sweet. This is going to be fun, but I might need to tweak it a bit, make it more like physical enhancement over environment enhancement." Like, cause like I said, after seeing what those roots did, he doesn't want to hurt anyone any more than he already has technically. But he's going along, and I'm gonna say that like he like continues to like break more robots. And in the observation room, right, like all these teachers, they're seeing this kid like create like elemental catastrophes, right, like cataclysms basically. And when they saw the whole tree root thing wrap around the student and then suddenly let him go, they were kind of like iffy. They're like, I don't know about this one. I mean, obviously he kind of helped them, but like it appears that like he's also struggling to control whatever that is. And they still give him rescue points for the students that he helped. And like Recovery Girl did kind of note that it seemed as if the students in question that were like ensnared by the trees were kind of helped, right? Like they were also healed like after being unensnared. Like I guess, which she notes is his way of kind of like making up for accidentally ensnaring them in like with vines, right? But like each of the teachers, they're praising Izuku for like his incredible quirk and the versatility of it, right? Which, to Izuku's credit, he he did technically come up with like all these different ways of like using his power, right? But like he's trying to like mitigate it, I guess, now, since he knows that with too much it can be a bit more risky to use. But like along with that, like Aizawa is impressed, like Vlad King is impressed, Nezu is incredibly impressed. And I'm gonna say that like President Mike, being that he is a radio host and all that, like he's like, "I like the kid's moxie. He's got like some spunk and some wicked tunes to him," right? Because he he took note of the fact that like Ida had technically called him out for humming and like to himself. And like even like in certain points, right, like they can hear Izuku like singing these songs, right, because they have little robots and drones like flying everywhere, right, to like monitor every applicant and like keep tally of their points, right? And they can hear Izuku singing, so they know that it has something to do with his songs, right? But like they are thoroughly impressed. And like and Aizawa He's thinking to himself, this kid's got promise, but I know he's going to be in my class, which is going to be a headache. And, like, Nezu, he looks at Aizawa and he's like, you already know, Eraserhead, you already know. And like, Aizawa, he sighs. And, like, to himself, he's like, great. Now I've got the rat confirming that I'm kind of screwed here. But, Izuku, he is, for the most part, he's doing very good, and and he's helping, he's helping where he can. He's learning to, isolate the enhancements to mostly himself, for the most part, unless he's, trying to, do something else, right? But, as the test kind of, begins to get to, its climax, right? Nezu, he goes, I wonder what this boy's limit is, right? And he hits the button to release the 0 pointers, right? And Izuku, he's like, I think I've gotten a decent amount of robots. I'm confident in my ability and in my skills. I think that I'm, for the most part, done. I might just head for the gates, if I'm being honest. Because Izuku, he's not cocky, but, he, after destroying, a bunch of robots, right, and rescuing people and all that, right, which he didn't know about the rescue points, because obviously All Might didn't tell him, but, Izuku, he just thinks to himself, this should be good. This should be good. And he starts walking, back to the main area, right, and that's when he feels a rumble. And he hears, the sound of things around him crashing down and breaking. And Izuku, he turns around and he sees the robot and he's like, oh, that's the 0 pointer, huh? I see why they called it an avoid obstacle. It's worth 0 points. I might as so it's not really worth my time, right? And he starts to walk away as he starts singing himself, right, a little bit. And then out of nowhere, he hears the sound of someone crying out in pain, right? And he turns around and he sees the girl from earlier, the one that looked like she was nervous and anxious, right? And he can see that she's pinned under some rubble, and all these other students, they're running away. Even after hearing her cry out for help, they're still running away. They're not even trying to help her. And, Izuku, he's like, no, you're telling me that all these students are here, and or all these applicants, and none of them are trying to help her? I will not stand for this, right? And, he starts to run that way, right? And he sings a song to himself to make himself faster to try and get to the girl, right? And, by the time he gets to her, the robot is, right up on them, almost, right? And Izuku, he's thinking to himself, I only have, I gotta think of something really quick, right? And, the words aren't coming to him right now. Literally, he is stumped, right? And, he thinks to himself, wait a minute, what was it that All Might said about, unleashing the power inside of you? He said to, imagine the power inside of you, let it well up, something about clenching your butt cheeks and cry out from the deepest part of your heart and passion, right? Fervently, right? And Izuku, right, this feeling wells up in his chest and he reaches for it, right? And after taking the deepest breath that he has, right, he has no lyrics, so he's not going to sing. He's just going to, do the first thing that comes to mind, right? And he goes, ho, 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 ho. And, the loud shout and scream of his voice, right, it magnifies. It's literally almost the same thing as Present Mike's, right, to where he is singing so loud and so with so much force, right, that he is literally creating a shockwave with his voice, like, and it's and it's starting to push the robot back, right? And like he keeps going, he like loud, proud, with so much force, right? And like then he feels the energy in his like pressure up into his legs, and he like jumps with all he has, and he said, and like these like couple of words like find their way to him, and he's like reaching the body of the robot. He rears his arm back at the same time, and he sings out, "With the power of a king, I demand that you fall." And once he strikes the robot, it blows backwards with immense force, causing it to topple over and completely shatter into like a bunch of metal shards. And like as he is falling back to the ground, right? His legs are like partially broken, and so is his arm, right? Like he like it wasn't enough power to completely destroy his legs, but like it did a lot of damage to his legs and his arm. Seeing that the ground is kind of coming to him really fast, he blinks for a second before like being like slapped by the girl that like he had rescued, and floating just above the ground, right? And he's like, "Oh, thank God, I almost died." And like the girl, right? She starts to puke like from where she was, right? And like Izuku, like he's like, "Oh, that really hurt." And right, like he looks at the damage on his body, right? And he he thinks, "Okay, this really hurts, but I gotta fix it." And like he sings like a song to heal himself, and like the wounds, they heal, and like he gets up, right? And he makes his way over to the girl, right? And like he uses the same like a similar song to like, you know, fix her ankle, right? And like he carries her back to the front, and like he sees he sees Recovery Girl there, right? And she's like, "My dearie, are you okay? Are you both okay?" And like Izuku's like, "Yeah, I used my quirk to heal mine and her wounds." And she's like, "Ooh, your quirk has the ability to heal others?" And Izuku's like, "Yeah, it does. I'm not sure like how good I did to my own wounds and hers, but I did my best. Like I feel a little bit sore, but like other than that, like I think I'm fine, but like I'm not sure about her, right?" And Ochako's like, "I think I think I should be good. Like, but I would appreciate if you like looked at my ankle just to be safe." And you know she does. You know she checks him up, and like she she praises Izuku for like his ability to heal, and she tells him that she thinks that he has such an incredible quirk to be doing so many incredible things, right? And you know Izuku, like he's bashful, he's shy about having been praised so much, right? But like other than that, he just kind of he thanks her, and you know he goes and he finds Bakugo, and leaves Ochako with Recovery Girl, right? Because Recovery Girl said that she wanted to get Ochako maybe a splint just in case, because she doesn't know how exhausted either of them are, and she wouldn't want to accidentally do more harm than good. But once Izuku meets up with Bakugo, right? They begin to talk, and they eventually start making their way back home, right? And Izuku he tells Bakugo of all the stuff that he learned he could do today, right? And Bakugo tells him how he thinks he did, and it's just a good old time. And like Izuku, like he thinks about the girl he saved, right? And like he thinks to himself, I sure do hope that she heals good enough, and that like my song was able to heal her. I also hope she gets in. She was so nice to save me like that, right? And you know, like they go home, and like Izuku just kind of proceeds to like like lay down because he's number one exhausted, and like he's suffering a little bit from quirk like exhaustion, right? Since he used his quirk so much, and like he decides to take a nap. I think that's where I'm going to leave this part of What If Deku Had a Singing Quirk off. I hope you all enjoyed, and don't forget, the shadows are watching.